What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Call Me Thursday podcast. You're here with your best girl, Sarah, and I'm here with my best girl, Sav. Sav, you look beautiful today. I love your jacket.
Oh,
Is this a
well, thank you.
jacket? Is this a
It is.
shirt?
It's
Is it a
like a little.
jacket?
It's like a little shacket, if you will. It's
It's
leather.
cute. I like
I got
it.
it for my birthday a couple years ago, but it's one of my favorites. So thank you
Nice.
very much. Very nice.
You're welcome.
But yeah, no, but I feel good today. I feel like hair is curled, makeup is done. We ended up not going to church today because we're going to Dallas for like 8 days tomorrow. So you guys are hearing this on Thursday. We'll be in Dallas at that point, and I was like, I've done nothing. Like, we leave tomorrow midday, and I've done absolutely nothing to prepare for this trip. And if you guys have ever prepped for a trip with 3 people, one of which being an 18-month-old, it's just a little bit more than my normal flow of, like, I used to just like pack at 10 p.m. the night before, and we just can't do that anymore. So got a little bit of an overwhelmed vibe this morning and was in my PJs all day, but now I'm dressed and ready, so I feel good. But yeah, but it's been a pretty good week. Our dog ran through our screen door last night, so that's kind of the funniest thing that has happened in the last several days.
Is he like still with you, or did he run away?
Yeah, no, he's fine. Well, he was running inside.
Oh,
If any of you guys know my
no.
dog, if there's ever a dog that would never run away from home, it is Saint. Like, Saint is the most spoiled little French bulldog. Like, literally would die in the wilderness in a matter of 24 hours without us. But he hates the cold, and so he was outside going to the bathroom when we got home, and Christian had opened the sliding door but left the screen door closed, and he like sprinted inside to get out of the cold, and he's just sprinted right through the screen door. So that was
Nice.
fun. That'll be fun to
Nice.
replace here shortly. But yeah, we had a crazy busy week. We had a huge like student event this past Friday that it just took a lot more like extra work. We did like a winter formal theme, so like all the kids are in dresses and suits, and it literally looked like prom. It was so much fun. Like, I felt like I was at THS prom in a way, which was really fun. So yeah, I have a bunch of other life updates to share later in the episode, but what's up with you, Sarah?
What is up with me? I have had a pretty long week, just like work related. I had to go back to Birmingham for a couple of days earlier this week, made it back, and I just like it's been just one of those a project that I've been working on for over a year is just kind of starting to come to a head. And the first, I guess, really like the real deadline is like really it's past. So now once you guys are listening to this, we'll find out if we make it. So my deadline's like a week from Monday, and so we'll really, by the time you guys are listening to this on a Thursday, I will have found out if we were able to cross the finish line or not. So, and it's one of those things where it's definitely a project that the deadline was like a shoot for the moon, land among the stars kind of thing. And that's why like I used to, and I think to some degree I still, especially entering like corporate America, and especially with the job that I have now, I used to get so upset when people set unrealistic goals, if that makes sense. Like, I would be so
Yeah.
upset when, like, whether it be a performance review or a project or whatever, feeling so like angry and defeated when you feel like, someone's quote setting you up to fail. But then I think once I realized that and this is what I actually think, that like maybe this is a sign of someone who's like good at managing and leading people. Like, you're always setting goals that are unattainable, but you push yourself way further to reach it and you land in a better place. It's just like, if I said I was going to go outside and run a mile, I'm only going to run a mile. But if I say I'm going to run 10 miles, I'm definitely not running 10 miles, but I might run 5, I might run 6. And so it's the hard part of like balancing the, like, you hate the stress of and it's not that this is unattainable, but you hate the stress of a goal that feels unattainable. But also I know that me and my team are working harder to achieve this than we might have worked if the goal was 3 months from now, if that makes sense. It's like, you can't like, it's hard to manufacture a sense of urgency. So I don't know, I go back and forth. On the one hand, it's like, well, why don't we just set goals that people can achieve? And so that way they don't feel discouraged or demoralized or whatever. But then the other part is like, well, if you achieve everything all the time and you never come up short, like, that you're probably not like really pushing yourself.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
never feel that like stretching. I agree with that.
Yes. Yes. And so, but I think it took a while to like get that because I think, and I don't know if it comes from like how like we come up as kids and stuff, like you get, oh, like there's a goal and you achieve it and you're supposed to do this and you do it and then people clap for you. But then it's like, a standard is put out there that you can't achieve. And it's like you short circuit. If you're me, you short circuit because you're like this, you grew up this like straight A kid who like, if there's a goal in front of her, she did, achieved it pretty handsomely. But now it's like, I actually had to like have this conversation with someone who's on my team the other day. Like, if you were achieving everything 10 out of 10, then what's in front of you just isn't difficult enough. Like, it's not hard enough. It's not meaningful enough. It's not good. Like, I've obviously made it too easy for you if you can achieve everything. And I think once I realized that, not just in work, but honestly, guys, probably in life, like once you realize that you're not supposed to get an A+ in everything, that it's literally not built that way, you have like more peace with your C-,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think I kind of stole that idea too from Grace because I think she got from someone that like you can't get an A+ in everything in life. Like there are some things that you can get an A in, but you just can't get an A in everything. So I don't know. It's taken a lot out of me just in terms of energy wise. And I think I've had a headache every day for like 5 days. And I'm pretty sure last night Jay told me that like in the middle of the night I had kicked the covers off but it was freezing. And so I know I didn't take the covers off on purpose. I was like, I'm telling you, I think I was just sweating in my sleep because I was dreaming about work all last night. I was having like bad dreams about work. And I was like, I guarantee you I started sweating over something about work and I kicked the covers off because I was hot because of like a dream that I was panicking. Like we're in that neighborhood, but like don't even worry about it. Like it's actually fine. I'm fine. It's not a big of a deal. I'm fine. But this is more, guys, like I'm like welcome to just inside of my brain. I'm really telling you guys something that you already know all this. I just am repeating it to myself to make me feel better about potential failure. Like this is how I'm soothed. Like you're not meant to achieve everything, Sarah. Like I'm telling myself that before like the imminent doom that is before me. So I'm really just talking myself down. That's what I just spent the last 4 minutes doing. So
no,
don't mind
it's
me.
so
I'm
it's
just
so
talking
helpful.
myself down.
Like truly, anybody who has similar personality types to us that are like very like achiever minded and have spent our whole lives basically until we became super self sufficient married adults, being like, I can do anything. Like no door is ever closed to me. I can literally do anything that I want, and like it doesn't matter how hard it is, but I think like as I've been kind of in this process of like preparing to go back to work and applying for jobs and stuff like that, like I remember there were so many times in my last job where people were setting goals for me that felt super unattainable and I would just get pissed. Like I was so angry and so frustrated. And like I think a lot of that kind of drove me away from that job, which there were a lot of things about that role that were just not a good fit for me. But I think like that's just a healthy perspective that I kind of wish I would have had in the moment where it's like just because you're not getting A+ and everything does not mean that your boss is displeased with you. It doesn't mean that you're doing a bad job. It's like they're setting goals that are stretching you and like that's something to be grateful for, and then it's actually like making you a better leader and a better worker, employee, all those things. So I love that perspective.
Yeah,
It's
and
very
you get
helpful.
so much more like it's like my boss knows that if he asks me to run if he sets a 3-mile goal, I'll run 3. But if he sets a 10-mile goal, I might not get all 10, but I'll get
like
7.
8. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a lot more than I would have done if he had set a goal that was more attainable.
Yeah.
And so it's like you get more out of people when you stretch them. And it's just like it's totally what you said, like our personality types, like we are not until like our mid to late 20s, we aren't really accustomed to needing to be stretched to achieve. I think we've achieved, but we didn't really need to stretch to achieve.
Yeah.
Now it's like to achieve anything that matters. And this is not just in work, this is in relationships, this is in everything. Like to get anything right that matters, it does require me to like not be perfect and not be great. And I can't just like pick up my ball and go home, like I have to like wrestle with that. And that's even been true in like, I mean, gosh, it's so true just in like marriage, friendships, all the things. Like if I don't step up to the occasion or like if I don't do something, Like you can't just do nothing. You can't just like take your ball and go home. You can't just like I can't like
Yeah.
quit being friends or quit being married or quit being an employee. I can't quit my job, you know, like I have to like find a way to step up to the plate even if it falls short of the goal or falls short of what I want it to be. And that is really hard for like somebody like me, you know,
Yeah.
to like have to engage in something knowing that I'm not 10 out of 10ing it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know.
And I feel like growing up, like it wasn't even just, and this isn't to turn into like a bragging session of us, how we were as children and teenagers, but it was like, I just remember being able, it was like I was able to achieve and I didn't even try. Like I just coasted and achieved.
Literally.
Like I didn't study that hard and I made like, I think I might have made like 1B or something through high school and middle school. And like even through college, like I did make 1C in college and that was in a math class that I just like truly did never attend or try in and like regrets, 100% regrets. But like, okay, also as I'm talking, this stupid ball above my head, I've got to move it. Hang on. This is not. I'm like looking at this bookshelf behind me and I'm like, I love this bookshelf. It looks so good. And then I was like, what is this Texas Rangers ball doing in my vase? So stupid. Anyways,
Living with
if you
boys.
guys are if you guys are watching on YouTube, this little squishy Texas Rangers ball is sitting in my nice little thrifted vase up here. But anyways, yeah, it's like it's not even just that like you have to we're not going to achieve. It's like you actually have to try. And like even and when you're putting in that effort and it doesn't always work out, it's just like part of adulthood. And especially when it
Dude.
involves other people and like it's in parenting and it's in marriage and it's like you just can't control everything. Like everything in school when we were younger, it felt so controllable. And so like as long as I study enough, as long as I like do a little bit of work, I'll make my grades and I'll be fine. And it's just not
Yeah.
life just ain't that simple.
No,
So
it's not. And like especially with this project that's happening at work right now, like I have done the best that I can. And I think that that's where I'm like I'm trying to find some like to like make myself chill out. It's like okay, when I close my eyes, like did I really have I given this the best that I had? Like have I done the absolute best that I could in the boundaries with which I'm willing to operate. And that's another thing too that I've experienced, like, especially in the area of like working out and exercise. Like, I always have struggled with the phrase like do your best or do the best that you can. Because I'm like, okay, working out, for example, doing the best that I can. Well, I could work out 7 days a week. I'm physically capable of that. With work, I could work 6 days a week. I could work nights, I could work mornings, I could work weekends every day. Like I could. So I always like in the back of my head, I always had this voice when people were like, well, you're doing the best you can and that's all you can do. I would always feel like, well, not really. I'm not really doing the best I can because I could do more. I could work weekends. I could work out 7 days a week. I could do 2 a days. Like I could do so much more. But now I've kind of like like I've changed the phrase to like I've done the best I can in the boundaries with which I'm willing to do it. Like in which I'm willing to do it.
yeah.
So it's like I'm only willing to work out 3 or 4 days a week. So if I do that, I'm like, hey, I've done the best within the boundaries that I have set for myself. Like I've done the best I can. Like with work. You know, I mean, last night was Saturday night. I sat on the couch and worked on Saturday. And like, that's fine. I don't mind working on a Saturday night or a Saturday morning every once in a while. It's not the end of the world. I don't mind working late during the week every once in a while. Not the end of the world. But like, I am not going to like work till 8 p.m. every night. I'm not going to work on Sundays. I'm not going to work every single weekend. And so with work project, it's like, I've done the best I can with the amount of hours I was willing to work the last 12 months, you know, the
Yeah.
last 12, 14, 15 months of the project. So I don't know if there's anybody else out there like that who like, I feel like doing the best I can feels so cheap sometimes because I'm physically capable of more, but I just choose not to do more. But then it's like, no, I'm choosing how I want to spend my time. And if I meet that, like what I've set out for myself, then that's doing the best that's doing my best. That's doing what I set out to do. But I think I like still I actually don't always believe that like I'm doing the best that I can because I always think that I could do more. And like that's probably an
Yeah.
area where I'm not like the most healthy that like I struggle to believe that like the time I put into something is enough, because there's like that voice of like, well, you didn't work every Saturday, or you didn't work
Mm-hmm.
late every night, or if a pair of jeans don't fit, well, you could be working out 7 days a week and you're not, like it's
Yeah.
what is your best, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, it's like talking about the boundaries piece. If you're talking about a 12-month long project, like, yes, you're like doing the best you can within the boundaries that you set for yourself, in or like within a healthy context. Like, I'm not I'm not working 6 days a week for a year to get a project done. Like, I think it's different when you're like, okay, I've got the next 3 weeks that I'm going to have to freaking hustle and bust my butt. And like, I can work 6 days a week. Like, I can work a couple of 10-hour days like every other day for 3 weeks. You can do anything for 3 weeks, or like
Mhm.
within whatever short amount of time. And we talk about that all the time. Like, whenever we went through like busy seasons in my last job, it was like, I can do anything for a month. Like, this month
Mhm.
is literally insane and I'm going to pull my hair out and I'm probably getting extra wrinkles from it, but like, I can do anything for a month. And, but like when you're, when you're talking about a 12-month time span, like you can't really do anything for a year, So I think,
Right.
yeah, give yourself grace for sure. Cause
Yeah.
it's like, you want to be able to like sustain healthy rhythms over
Mhm.
that long of a course of time. And it's like, you got married this year, dude. Like, you started dating
Literally.
and got engaged to and got married to the love of your life this year. Like, so sorry that this project is important, boys, but like, this, I got other stuff that's important.
Literally. And that's such a part of it too, because we're also in this, like I knew that Q4 was going to be crazy. I
Mhm.
knew, but just now that we're in it and I'm having to like travel a bit more and like be away from home more than I would want to, and it's like, on the one hand, I'm so stinking grateful. Like I'm so grateful for my job. It affords me like just flexibility and all these other
Mhm.
things that, like, when you're just the new guy at a new job starting all over, it's hard to get, it's hard to have. And like
It is.
what I have in this season is what I like need in this season in terms of flexibility and all that kind of stuff. Great relationship with my boss. I feel like things are starting to hum with my team, like things are good, but it just is demanding a lot. And I
Mhm.
think that like I know that there just got to be other people out there who are feeling this, of like, this is just your reminder, because I'm talking to myself, that like you really can do anything for 3 months. You can do anything for 3 weeks. You can do anything for a short, defined amount of time. Because right, like there's definitely been days where I've been like just kind of like want to flop on the ground and be like, I quit. I can't do this. I'm just a girl. I just can't do this. I can't. I don't want to. This is too hard. You guys are asking too much. But it's like, okay, perspective. And like that is adulthood. Being a grown up is having perspective.
I want to say
Literally.
I'm just a girl, but then I remind myself that the Lord told me I have to grow up,
Yes,
and it's tough.
literally. The Lord told me that I have to grow up. And like there is it's me and my spouse. There is no, if I flop on the floor and just decide I want to play dead, like there's nobody like coming to keep, like there's nobody else coming,
Yeah.
like I am an adult now. Like I'm a grown person. I'm not a toddler who can lie on the floor and just like flop and someone's going to come pick me up off the floor. Like I'm an adult. Like, and it's like, yes, obviously I have this amazing husband who would take care of me and all these things if I needed to quit. Like, that's not even that. It's just like, there's something about like, I've got to have the resilience of an adult to like not just flop on the ground and say I'm just a girl. And I
Mhm.
think that like, actually, I mean, and it's literally like defined and proven. Like I've sat in like HR seminars where like, like post pandemic to now, like the number one thing missing in the workforce is resilience. Like
Mm.
the number one thing that like all kind of, if you look at all the reasons that people quit or all the reasons you have to fire people or whatever it may be, like the ingredient that is missing in the workforce and probably in humanity is like a level of resilience.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, it's so hard. And I
Yeah.
just thought that I was better than that, but I'm not. And like every 5 minutes, I just want to flop on the ground. And it's like, I really do think it's like there is something coming against, like, especially like young people in our generation, like there's something coming against it to where like we just all want to like flop and
Mhm.
like, I'm just a girl and I can't do it and it's too hard. And it's just like resisting the temptation to do that has been actually a thing, which I almost feel embarrassed to say, because it's like, oh my goodness, Sarah, drive 2.5 hours to go to your job and then come back home. Like, this is not that, spending one night away from home is not that big of a deal. or spending 2 nights away from home is not that big of a deal. But like this soft, spongy little, gooey part of me is all like, oh, I don't want to, and it's like, ma'am, we just have to grow up. So we're putting our money where our mouth is this week, girls and boys. We're putting our money where our mouth is. We've been saying that, the Lord's calling us to grow up. And I just feel like I've had to be like a whole grown woman this week.
Yeah.
And it is not for the faint of heart.
It is not. I'm telling you, it's got to just be like this whole experience of coming into like our late 20s and like early 30s in the next few years, where you just realize like it's just like life is beautiful and life is wonderful and it's full of like so much goodness, but also like the majority of it is so mundane and like so annoying. And like you just have to keep trucking and stop trying to romanticize everything, unless like romanticizing your like normal mundane day to day is what gets you through it, then go for it. But like just because it's not actually romantic doesn't mean that it's bad.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend last night who is in ministry, and she was saying they had a pastor that was like their pastor's mentor come in and talk to their staff, because their staff has been experiencing a ton of turnover, and they're a pretty small staff of like maybe 15, 20 people, and a bunch of people are leaving. And somebody asked the guy, like, what would your advice be to a team like us who's experiencing a ton of turnover, or even just like this generation of, because a lot of their staff is like in their 20s and 30s, so they're pretty young. And he was like, can I be candid? Y'all need to grow up. Like, all of y'all who are quitting because it's too hard, you need to grow up. All of y'all who are crying because your friends are leaving their job, you need to grow up. Like, just because there's turnover. He actually had a really interesting perspective that like in ministry specifically, when there's a lot of turnover happening, it's really easy to make it feel really negative and like everything's dying and everything's changing and like nothing's ever going to be the same. But like when it comes to like building God's church, a lot of times the Lord like prunes people away, not because it's like a lot of times you think about pruning as like cutting off dead things, but it's just like the people who were there have already like borne all the fruit that they're going to bear for that ministry. And like it's just time for them to go and time for new faces to come in. And like that's actually really healthy. But it's like when we're all like 26 years old and like our besties are leaving, we're like, I want to leave. I don't want to be here without my friends. It's like, no, this is your salary, boys and girls. This is what's paying your bills.
And it's like this all, when we sit here on this podcast and just are talking between me and you, this all just sounds like duh.
I know.
But then I'm going to walk away from here, and tomorrow I'm going, oh God, I can't do, like, it's so crazy how like you look at it, you talk about it, and then you walk away, and it's like I forget everything I just said. Yeah. I have no, like this means it is just a lot harder than I wish it was, but I'm realizing that it's hard, and I'm like, this should not be as hard as it is. Yeah. And that's why and I don't know if it was like, I mean, because 2020, I think that we just all got beat up really bad. And I mean, the pandemic and all the other things that happened. And it just has seemed like for the last 4 years, it has just been kind of chaotic in the world and chaotic in America. And I don't know. I think that we've all had this like shared experience and this shared trauma that like, I get it. I get why resilience would be missing. I think we all have every reason in the world to like, feel a little beat down.
Yeah.
And, be a little soft. And like, that's coming from me and you, like two very privileged girlies in the grand scheme of America. Like, I can imagine there are a lot of other people who don't have the same, who didn't have the same cushions and guardrails as we did growing up, and the same like environments growing up that set us up to succeed. That like, man, if we're having a tough time muscling through this world, like I can't imagine what it must be like to like not have like the support system or like the upbringing that we had that like gave us so much like security and support and things like that. But like, it's just crazy to me like how hard it is to persevere and like how hard it is to be resilient, and like this junk is hard, and like
we're telling people that all the time, and then we have to do it. Like, I
don't want to at all. But I really hope that like people, I don't know, like just keep going. I don't know. And that's what I'm just doing. You gotta just keep going. And I do think that for a while, like economically too, there was just a lot of opportunity for like the whole like, what, and hear me when I say I have no bones with job hopping. I
Yeah.
do it all the time. I have done it in my career. Like, I have no problem. Put yourself in the best position that you can for you and your family. And I just think that that was more of an option a year ago, a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't, it's just not as much of an option. I think, like, people being able to jump somewhere and get a 20% increase overnight. Like,
No, the job market's freaking crazy. Like,
it's just
so many of
not
my
like
friends
that
have been
anymore.
searching for jobs for 6 months, and like, no,
Hmm.
everybody's like, no,
Yeah.
like,
It's just,
can't even
now
get an interview anywhere.
I think before it was like being resilient was like something we should do, but I feel like now it's almost like something you kind of have to do.
Yeah.
If you don't like the situation you're in, I feel like a lot of times you just kind of like have to figure it out right
Mm-hmm.
now. Um, but also, I was talking to a friend, actually, I went to brunch with a friend yesterday, and it was great. And one of the things we talked about was like, whenever you're looking at your job, like trying to put a number on all the intangibles, like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what you make in your salary and you know what your benefits are worth. But like for me, the intangibles of the flexibility that I have, the relationship I have with my boss, and the relationship I have with my team. Like, there is a universe where like you've got to like kind of try to at least put a number on all those intangibles, and like that's what your job really is. So like when
Yeah.
people like, I don't know, if you're feeling like you just kind of want to throw in the towel this week and like you want to flop and you're just a girl or whatever, like think about all the things, especially if your mind starts to go to like the money thing, you're not making enough money or whatever. Think about all the other things that come with the job, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But also weigh that against, like, if you're working all the time and you're working on weekends and whatever, like you've got to like add and subtract the intangibles into your salary too, to like get the full picture. And I think that, like, I loved our episode with Jada last week because and this all circles back to like, what's your why when you're doing
Mm-hmm.
things?
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about like what's kept me going this past week when I've wanted to flop so many times is like, well, I know what my why is. I know why I'm showing up to my job. I know that my family and I have goals for our future, and that I have goals for my future, and that we have goals for my future, and that this is all of the intangibles and the tangibles put together, that this is like a great opportunity for that future. And like, I don't know, I felt like last week's episode really has helped me going into this week. When it's just kind of hard to find out your why because you're just having a tough time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I feel like I love how you're framing the whole, like, the intangibles of your job too, because as I'll be completely transparent with you guys, I had an interview with my old job this week. Different role, but same company that I've
Yes.
like had so many snippy things to say about over the past year and a half on the podcast. But I think like the Lord, I've had one interview. I don't know if it's going to move forward. I don't know like what's going to happen, but I think that the Holy Spirit's kind of been talking to me about this whole work thing and like the work concept that we talk about on the podcast all the time, especially with our guests. And like, I loved what Jada said too about having a why, because it's like, I think back to my job and how I think that like that role in particular had just a lot of really intense emotional demand that wasn't a
Mhm.
great fit for my current season of life, where like my child is taking plenty of emotional demand from me, but a different role on a different team within the same company where like the intangibles of flexibility, of flexible PTO, of a great salary on top of like paid for benefits and all these things, it's like I think the Lord's kind of showing me like, hey, Savannah, if I open this door, like you can kind of take this as a reminder that even if it's not work that you're super pumped to do, you like a job, especially in this economy in a country as expensive as this one is to live in, a job in general is just a blessing. And to like, it's something to be grateful for. And yeah, I think like even you talking about your like the goals that you guys have for your family in the coming years, like talking about being in our late 20s going into our 30s in the next couple of years, like I think that's part of growing up too, is like having the why and the bigger picture of like, okay, maybe you don't like the work that you're doing, like maybe the actual things that you're plugging and playing into a computer or whatever it is that you're doing isn't fun,
Mhm.
but like if it's leading you towards a bigger why, especially as you're like building a family, it's just bigger than you. Like at the end of the day, it's just bigger than you. Um, which is really cool and very empowering to think about, especially as like women with jobs, that like we're able to help our family. And this isn't a hit to stay-at-home moms, because stay-at-home moms are doing this as well. But like if you're a working mom or a working wife or whatever, like financially helping your family move forward towards the goals that they want to move forward towards. So I don't know, that concept has been like on my heart a lot the last couple of weeks too.
Yeah. Well, because I do think that like whether you choose to work or you choose to stay at home, it's again like what Jada talked about, like what are you doing to get the ball down the field for your family?
Yeah.
Like getting the ball down the field might mean hey, we need you to spend most of your time at home, or
Mm-hmm.
hey, we need you to spend most of your time, at a job that's going to like bring in financial income, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's like wherever it is that you and your family deem you're going to get the most return on the investment for your time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you invest your time into the things of the home, that's going to produce a greater return than going to a job. Okay, stay at home. But if going to a job is going to produce a greater return in this season than what you're going to do at the home, okay, let's invest our time there. But it's almost like it's kind of more exciting now, like working and being married, because I
Mm-hmm.
think before I was working and I was getting promoted and you're making money and it's cool. And I think that for me, I was so motivated to like get out of debt, like just to like be transparent
Mm-hmm.
for everybody, like to get out, to pay off my car and to pay off my student loan. Like that was from the time I started working. That was the thing that I was extremely motivated by. And like I was going nuts and I was doing that and I was, whatever. And then I did it. And then I like, okay, then I got my like savings goal. And it's like, okay, you want to have however many months of savings. Okay, you do that. And then it's like, at some point when you're single, at least this was my experience, I kind of ran out of goals, like with
Mm-hmm.
money,
Mm-hmm.
like, which is such a blessing to say. Like, and I don't mean for it to sound weird, but like, I checked off the two big things I wanted to check off.
Mm-hmm.
But then now, and I did that kind of shortly before getting married, but now that I'm like, that kind of closed. And then not long after I got married, it's kind of cooler now and more exciting and more empowering and more invigorating to work, because I know that every paycheck, like we now have goals that are new
Mm-hmm.
goals, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's not just for me anymore, but it's for like the kids that I don't have yet. And,
Mm-hmm.
the home that like, we have a home, but like the house that we want to, buy one day and all those things. Like once you have these new goals as like a new team, it makes the why you're showing up every day, like it's just more exciting. Like, okay, like we're grinding, like one step at a time, like one check at a
Mm-hmm.
time, one step at a time. This is why I'm investing my time. And so I don't know, I love like that even tie in from Jada, like getting the ball down the field can be in the form of staying at home, in the form of going to work, but like that whatever you're doing, you're getting the ball down the field for your family. And like I love what you said about it's just bigger than you. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just bigger than me. It's bigger than my desire to just flop on the floor and fake dead and hope nobody notices. Like it's just bigger than that,
Yeah. I
And
think that's something
again,
like
it's
our
very mature.
parents, it is. I think that's something our parents' generation has always had a good grasp on, that like work and your job and your career. Like, I think a lot of us in like the late millennial, early Gen Z world, we get so like career focused of like, I want to do the thing that I want to do. And that's awesome. And like, same, ditto. Like, I
Mhm.
also would love to do the thing that I'm actually passionate about. But also at the same time, it's like what you're like the money that you're making and the thing that's bringing in your paycheck, like maybe the why is like my family is provided for, and like we have food on the table and we can like take the vacation, we can like provide whatever we want, like whatever life we aim to provide for our kids. And
Mhm.
like it's just bigger than you. I think
Yeah.
it's the cool thing about what you're talking about, where now you and Jonathan get to dream together. It's like as you like one person, two singles become like one married couple, and then like as you guys have kids, and like as that number grows bigger and bigger in your family, like the dreams just get bigger and bigger, which is
Mhm.
really exciting and is a perfect pivot, because I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to pivot to this. But you girls have another baby, y'all.
Woo! She's as the family grows. She was
As the
just
family
talking
grows.
about it. As the family grows and your family's growing.
It
Party of
is.
four. So guys,
Party of
all
four.
these calls that she's gotten on all the podcasts where she's like she hasn't felt good. She's talking about it's some sort of flu or something or some sort of stomach bug. This girl has been going through it. This is what she's been doing for you guys. Like, for you guys to have a podcast to listen to every week, she has been crawling into this chair
and
weekly.
bold-faced lying to all of you.
Bold-faced lying. She's faking illness. She's trying to, it's the flu, it's the stomach bug. No, she is just dog sick from being pregnant.
Yeah.
And so she has been such a trooper to give you guys a podcast every week. And now she can finally tell you that she's not just a sick girly. She just is a pregnant girly.
She's just a pregnant girly. And like, coming from the mom who, my first pregnancy was so easy and such smooth sailing. That's why I'm convinced. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. We'll probably find out in the next like month or two, but I'm convinced it's a girl, because this has been a world of a difference in experience with pregnancy and hormones and like hormones. Hormones. And it's been so different in every regard. So yeah, the past, like, as you guys are listening to this, I'm 12 weeks. So it's weird because I'm like recording this and we haven't even told Christian's parents yet as of today, but we will be telling them this week before this episode comes out.
Good.
But so everybody who needs to know will know by the time this episode releases. But yeah, so I'll be 12 weeks by the time this comes out, and Calvin and baby number 2 will be right at 2 years apart. Like, legit could share a birthday. We don't know. They're gonna be right at 2 years, and yeah, we're really excited. So,
oh my gosh. Okay, so catch us up on just the highs, lows, share whatever you want to share about first 12 weeks and all your thoughts on like being a mom of 2, party of 4, all the things.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, there's so much to catch up on. So we found out, I was probably close to like 5 weeks when we found out. So I was very, very early on. And I really wanted to share the news with Christian different from how I did when we found out we were pregnant with Calvin, because with Calvin, it was like, I bought a pregnancy test and I was in the bathroom when we got home, and Christian was with me. He didn't see that I bought it, but I went into the bathroom, was in there for forever. And he like comes and checks on me and is like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing. And like, literally like told him I was pregnant through the bathroom door, basically. And so it was just very anticlimactic, not cute, not video worthy at all. And so this time I was like, no, I'm going to take this and like process it on my own. So I got up at like 5 a.m., took the test. It was positive, have a little video to share for it. And then the next day made him these little pancakes with cut up strawberries that said dad ×2 on the pancakes. And he was very shocked and was like, shell shocked, had just woken up. But yeah, so that's how I told him. And then literally told my mom on FaceTime this week, because I was like, I can't hold this in any longer. I just need to tell her. But then I pretty much immediately after telling Christian, like that week, this was immediately after I had gotten back from Sarah's wedding. And that weekend that I was in town for Sarah's wedding, my mom had made ribs, and my last pregnancy meat was like absolutely disgusting to me. And I was eating these ribs that my mom had made, and I was like choking them down because I was like, this tastes like my mom just caught a piece of an animal in the backyard and put it on my plate. Like, I cannot swallow this right now. So I'm like choking down the ribs. And that was when I was like, oh God.
Did that give you a clue?
That was my first clue.
That was your first clue?
Was wow. The ribs. Yeah. And so,
but you didn't take a test?
No, not that time. I wasn't taking a test yet because I had not missed my period yet. So I was like, I don't know. But then when I got back to Denver, had not had a period for like a week later. And I was like, okay, it's time. But then very early on started to show a lot more symptoms, like extreme fatigue. Could it be from pregnancy hormones? Could it be from caring for a toddler while you're pregnant? Probably a little bit of both. Because if you're wondering, an 18-month-old does not give a crap that I don't feel good. He just wants to be as wild as he normally is, and wants me to be wild with him. And so, yeah, had probably like 2 or 3 weeks of when Calvin was sleeping, I was sleeping. So like I would fall asleep as soon as he was in bed at 7:30, would wake up when he woke up, would nap for 2 hours in the middle of the day. Like I was just dead tired and so nauseous and just feeling awful. And the smell of everything was disgusting. Coffee made me want to puke. Every time Christian made coffee in the morning, I was like, open the windows, open the doors, get this smell out of my house. Like I'm going to faint. This smells so bad. There were so many weird things that the smells would weird me out. Like the smell of the heater in our house would make me nauseous. So I kept the house like freezing because I couldn't turn the heater on. The smell of Christian cooking eggs. I was like, just I gotta get out of the house. I can't. I need everything to just smell neutral, please.
Dang.
And so that was really rough for a few weeks, but it's getting a lot better now. I'm finally drinking coffee again. It's a good day. It's wonderful. But and then my dreams have been so vivid. And I have to share, I'm not going to share a bunch of my dreams, but this one was so weird. I had a dream several weeks ago that I woke up in the middle of the night. There was a noise outside of our bedroom door. So I go and like open the door, and there's a duck in our house. And the duck was just like, he was like trying to bite me. And so I was like, Christian, get the duck out of the house. So he gets the duck out of the house. And then it happens again. There's another duck in the house. And then I look outside in our house. We're in the same house that we live in, but it's on this like pond, and there are ducks everywhere. And I'm going, Christian, I go up to the bed, into the bedroom, and I'm like, Christian, we've got to move. We got to get off the pond. The ducks keep getting in the house. Like, we've got to go. But the dreams are just so vivid. It's so wild.
What?
Yeah, so random. But in terms of like how we're feeling about a second child, we knew that we wanted like a 2 to 3 year age gap for our kids. And so that this is like just the earliest of the options. And I think from what I've heard, a lot of moms talk about the first year with that age gap is really challenging, because your first is like so used to being an only child, so used to having all of the attention. They're still really young. They might not fully understand what's going on. But then as soon as the second baby is old enough to like play with them, so like 9, 10, 11 months in, it's a dream. Like, they can play together, they entertain each other, and like second baby learns so much from the first baby. And so I'm so excited to see Calvin be a big brother. He's going to be awesome. And yeah, we're excited. And like, we don't know how many kids we want, so it's really weird to think about like, this could be our last kid. Like, we don't know. This could very well be my last pregnancy. This could be like us wrapping up our family, which feels really weird because I'm literally 28. And so the idea of like being done having kids before I'm 30 is kind of wild to think about. But it could be a reality. Could not. Like, we don't know. We could have the second one. I think we'll probably have our second, let them get a little bit older, see like, has this actually gotten a little bit more simple because they can entertain each other, and maybe we'll want more. But we don't really know. It could go either way. So but we're really excited to just see like what this next little human is going to be like. And we're also, I guess this is another cat to let out of the bag. You guys have been hearing us talk about like all this transition, and like, I feel like I've been very vague in the last couple of months of the podcast of just things that Christian and I have been processing through, and feeling a little like displaced in life, and feeling like, honestly, I went through a couple of months of pretty intense like depression, and just not feeling like myself, and feeling like was quitting my job was the worst thing I ever did. Like, what is going on with me? I don't feel like myself anymore, which I know is a very normal part of motherhood too. And so just not knowing like where to put the blame sounds like the wrong word, but like trying to figure out, like, pinpoint what's the cause of me feeling like this. And we've just kind of come to a point where we feel like in this season of our life, in our first 5 years of marriage, we spent so much time like chasing dreams and doing the adventurous thing, and like following a ministry, following like a pastor, like planting a church, doing all these things, and really prioritizing like ministry life over our family. And not to the point that it made our family suffer, but Christian and I have just never taken time to be able to like prioritize our marriage. And I think that year 5 is just really interesting. And I've heard a lot of couples talk about this, that when you come to year 5 of marriage, and especially if that's around the time you start having kids, you realize, like, have you really just been living like pals and like roommates? And like, roommates isn't the right word, because Christian and I do have like a very intimate, like close friendship and close relationship and close marriage. But like, I think we're still figuring out what the oneness looks like, and especially on a spiritual level, what that looks like, and like what our vision is for our family. And so I say all that to say, we have made the decision finally, after several months of processing, that we are going to be moving to Dallas, Texas, to be close to my husband's parents. And we're really excited. And it's come with a lot of grieving and a lot of like just back and forth, especially for my part, because I always have a hard time like putting my stake in the ground on a decision. But I think that as hard as it is to leave our friends, and as hard as it is to leave the place that when we moved here, we were like, we're going to stay here for 20 years or more. Like, this is going to be our place. We just feel like the most peace is over wherever we can plant ourselves for the time being, to be able to like have more flexibility for our family, and like have support from people that we know are like, as much as we know that our friends here are willing to support us and like watch our kids and whatever, it's just not the same thing as being able to call a grandparent and say like, hey, can we drop our kids off with you for 2 hours so we can go to dinner? Like, it's just not the same. And so, yes, probably we're looking at February 1st. We're going to be moving to Dallas, and another cross country move. This is going to be our 4th in 5 years. Yeah. 4th in 5.5 years. And it was not expected, and definitely was not planned on, but we are excited.
Oh my gosh.
All the cats are out of the bag, and it feels great, and there's a weight off my shoulders.
All the cats are out of the bag, and I'll let out like it's like a half cat. It's not that big of a cat, but like with all of that Sav just shared with you guys, I obviously have known this the whole time. Obviously,
she has.
I've always known this, so this is not like a new thing for me. But like we've also been talking a lot about like podcasts and just life, and again, it kind of goes back to the conversation we were having earlier of like we're just at a point. I think we're both at points where like things are just bigger than us, you know. It's bigger, our time and what our dreams and what we want and all the things, they're just bigger than like our individual like Sav and Sar soloing it, you know, doing whatever we want kind of thing. And granted, obviously, like when we started the podcast, Sav was married, but like I think adding kids to the mix is obviously a whole different thing. And since we started, so like timeline it for me. When Calvin was born, when in relation to the podcast?
Calvin was born in June. And so we had already pretty much like, we had like planned everything. I think we had not recorded anything yet, but we had like schemed the whole thing already. And then we were launching in August.
Yes. So Calvin was born in June. So, but we had already like shot the first cover. We already had our photo shoot with Ashton. We had already had music. So like we had planned the podcast up to that point. He was born in June. We started the podcast in August. So since the podcast started, Sav has had a newborn. She is pregnant with her second. She is still you were still in Denver whenever we first started, but you're getting ready to move again. And I have moved, and I have gotten married, and I've transitioned from working in an office to working remotely.
And work is obviously friggin' bonkers.
Work is crazy. I've also I've put down like teaching group fitness, and I'm not teaching anymore. And just like a lot of my life has changed too. So we're taking a break. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We've been with you guys 76 weeks heavy. Talk about 75 hard. Like we just did 70. We have done the podcast 75 hard. We promised ourselves a year, and we have exceeded what we promised ourselves, which is so cool. And yeah, we're going to take a break. So you guys, we have 75 other episodes for you to listen to for the next couple of months, but December and January, your girls are kicking their feet up for 8 weeks. And I say I'm kicking my feet up. Sav will be packing boxes in those 8 weeks. So she's not really going to be that chill, but yeah, we both just have like a lot of demands on our life and on our time. So we're going to take 8 weeks and go listen to 8 other episodes that you haven't listened to before. And if you listen to all of them, call us, text us. We'll talk to you just on the phone if you want to.
We sure will. We always will.
We'll just talk to you on the phone while we're folding our clothes or going on a walk or something like that if you really want to hear from us. But yeah, we're just going to take a little pause. We're going to come back. We'll see you guys in February. But yeah, we're just taking a little break because we're pooped. And life's asking a lot of both of us right now. And what we were talking about earlier, like just investing your time where you're going to get the biggest return and where it's needed the most. And like, I think we're both going to take a couple months to like invest our time where it is needed the most. You know?
I agree with that. And I think like, I'm really excited to, in the next season, like kind of rehone my focus. Cause I think right now it feels like my hands are in a billion different places where it's like, it's like I don't even work a full-time job, and I've talked about this a ton on the podcast, but like doing contract work and doing like some art stuff and doing podcast and parenting and like being a wife and like figuring out what the heck we're doing with our life. Like it's been so many experiences of feeling like my best self isn't really going to anything because my I'm so divided between so many different things, and so I'm excited to like take a couple months and rehone my focus. Like all of my contract work is going to end at the end of December, and we'll kind of like figure out if I'm going to end up working again probably in the next few weeks if that happens, and yeah, and just like figure it out in the new year and
Yeah.
like get ourselves together a little bit. So
Yeah, because I even still like I've got like a semblance of a routine like week to week, but like
Mhm.
we actually were just at brunch with a couple from church today, and we still like it's still so funny when we say out loud like, yeah, we've been married for like 6 or 7 weeks. We've been married for 7 weeks. Like I've only been married for 7 weeks. Like
That's great. Like you're still in the weeks. Like
I'm in
you're
the
not even
weeks.
like you could say 2 months if you really wanted to, but really like you're still in the age of like when somebody is telling people that their baby is like 7 weeks old.
Yes.
You're
No,
not in
like
the months yet.
we're 7 weeks old. Like our marriages, the
Yeah.
Lowrys are 7 weeks old. Like it's
You're a newborn marriage.
like beyond newborn. And
Yeah.
like it has been the best 7 weeks of my whole life. It is the
Aw.
most fun I have ever had. Like I laugh every single day. There's a dance party every single day. I'm having the absolute time of my life. And like being married, sorry, single girls, it's just so much better than being single. It just is. Sorry. Like
I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just better. It's just better. My life is better now than it was 8 weeks ago before I was
Yeah.
married. But it's still like I am like feeling it out and like figuring out a
Mhm.
routine and like figuring out friends and friendships and seeing people. And like I feel like I've gotten to hang out with Meredith once, which also can we talk about speaking of Meredith? Yes, guys, if you're thinking it, I'm thinking it too. 3 of my bridesmaids were pregnant. At the
Everyone is
wedding.
pregnant, if you were
Everyone
wondering.
is pregnant because Meredith and Grace have both put it out on the internet, so you guys can see that. But like, literally 3 of my bridesmaids were with child while I was getting married.
Some of which knew, some of which did not. And like I have
Crazy.
I can't even like keep count at this point, but I have 3 close friends here who are pregnant. And we're all due within like a couple of us are like a few weeks of each other. I have
Crazy.
another friend in Dallas who is also pregnant. Who we're due like 3 days apart. I don't even know if I've told you that. I'll tell you that when we get offline because they haven't announced it
Yeah,
yet.
tell me, that person too, because I don't know who that one is. And it's cool too because so you guys, Katie and Meredith are my 2 best friends from college. Meredith, and then Savannah and Grace, obviously my 2 best friends growing up. And the first time it was Katie and Sav who were like in the same week, like a week apart.
Yeah.
And now it's Meredith and Grace who are in the same week.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize they were so close. That's
Isn't
so fun.
yeah, Mert told me like that they're already like texting and like talking about it. But it's just I'm just so obsessed.
Yeah.
Everyone's having babies. Everyone's pregnant. Sav's moving. I'm figuring out being married. I go for my name change appointment in a couple of days. I go for my name change appointment on Wednesday.
Let me tell you, you better study and prepare. Like study your birth certificate because when I went to get my name changed in Dallas when we were moving, they asked me where I was born. And I said Birmingham. And they like looked at me and I was like, I was born in Birmingham. But apparently it said Homewood on my so like you just better know. You better know all that because they were like, we legit almost had to deny you because you didn't know the answers to the questions about your life. So you better study up, sister.
Oh my
pressure's
gosh. That's
Yeah.
terrifying. I need to call them because I did like a pre-screening online.
Mm.
And so I think now I only have to bring in my marriage license and my social security card, I think.
Okay.
But but these kind of things like government appointments like scare the crap out of me because I'm like I'm scared to death
I'm
of
just
this
scared.
kind of stuff. Like the government just seems very unforgiving with their forms and whatnot, and I hate every second of it. And so yeah, anyway, I say all that to say we're just going through a lot of change, and we just decided we needed a little break ski, and so we'll holler at y'all.
In the new
Call
year.
us, text us if you want, but if not, that's also fine. It's like we say all this and like literally nobody notices. Like we, but yeah, I'm excited actually. I feel like I have a lot of like peace about taking a break. Like I feel like like a little exhale of like, okay, cool.
Yes, exactly. I agree. And like it's right around the holidays. So
Mhm.
it's like we can get through the holidays. Everybody, like, I feel like my podcasting game in terms of like what I listen to always goes down during the holidays anyways. And so hopefully nobody misses us too much.
Right.
But yeah, and then like get into the new year, establish our rhythms and figure it out from there. So
Yeah.
yeah, but we are going to miss you guys. We're going to
Yeah.
miss yapping and you listening to us yap
Yeah.
as you do every week.
We'll still be yapping. You guys just won't be hearing it.
Right,
That's all.
right. Yeah, yeah. But stay tuned for I'm assuming we'll do some kind of gender reveal. We'll probably still post a little like sporadically on the page just to like keep you guys updated on our lives. But yeah, see y'all in February.
See y'all then. In the meantime, you can ask me what I'm excited about.
Right. What are you excited about, Sarah?
I am excited to take a nap and eat. I made a pumpkin loaf, and I didn't know if my husband was going to like it. So it was really a big gamble because I'm like, I'm either going to eat this whole pumpkin loaf by myself, or hopefully my husband also likes it. And he does. But the one thing that like kind of I was questioning his palate. He's like, it tastes like banana bread. I'm like, it can't. It doesn't.
There's no bananas in
There's no bananas in it. I'm like, it's a familiar texture, I'm sure, because it's very similar to a banana bread, just with pumpkin instead of banana. But I was just a little like I cocked my head to the side. I'm like, my pumpkin bread tastes like bananas. Like, it can't. It's impossible. It doesn't actually. But it's like that's like my arrogance. I'm like dictating his taste buds. I'm like, I know I'm gaslighting what he tastes. I'm like, I know you think it tastes like bananas, but it doesn't. Like, you're wrong.
Objectively speaking, it does not.
Your taste buds are incorrect. So I'm gonna go take a nap and have some pumpkin bread and watch TV with my husband. And I'm thrilled. I'm excited.
Thrilled.
That's what I'm excited about. You, ma'am, what are you excited about? And I feel like now that you've let the cat out of the bag, you can stop saying you're excited for Thanksgiving and seeing your niece.
Last 6 weeks. No, I am excited for Thanksgiving.
I haven't seen her before. Her parents are in the Air Force. They live in Germany. We can all recite it.
No, I am excited for Thanksgiving though, because I finally get to tell the rest of my family and I can stop lying to everybody. So. No, but I'm excited. I mean, there's a billion things that I'm excited about, obviously, in the coming months. But honestly, the thing I'm so excited about right now is that wow, I literally lost it. Oh my God, what is it? What was I thinking? I'm excited about. I'm gonna have to make something up because I literally had something on the. No. Oh my God. I'm so annoyed at myself. Whatever. I'm excited about the book that I'm reading. I'm reading the book called The Bee Sting. It's really good. Reading it on my Kindle. I'm trucking through it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. And it's been a blast. That's truly not the thing that I was going to say, but I'm just going to blame it on pregnancy and I don't remember what I was going to say. So
pregnancy brain. Yeah, that's right. She's pregnant.
That's right. She is. Oh God, I'm so annoyed at myself. Whatever. Let's just wrap it up. Okay. Thanks guys for listening to another episode of the Call Me Thursday podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at Call Me Thursday podcast. And as always, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and let us know why you're loving the pod. So Sarah, I will call you Thursday offline.
I will call you Thursday, sister. All right.
Okay,
bye.